When Ana Valdez came to the States as a young adult, she had one goal in her mind: to achieve the American dream. But also, she couldn't hide her lifelong passion to help others, and was exactly this passion that helped her to get an internship at the White House, working for the person she admires the most.
It was the time when Clinton was being re-elected, and I was so lucky that not only I volunteered, but after I volunteered, I was hired.
Ana is the co-founder of Valdez Productions and the 650 Company. The companies create media content and platforms, marketing and political strategy that target, sell, and serve the Hispanic and all emerging communities. Let's talk to Ana and find out Como Lo Hizo.
Éxito.
Success.
Hábitos.
Habits.
¿Cómo lo hizo?
How do they make it?
Descubra las costumbres y secretos de los triunfadores.
Discover the habits and the secrets of those who have succeeded.
So, Ana Valdez, thank you for being with us in Como Lo Hizo.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So, at what age you came to the States and from where?
Well, I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I came to the United States when I was 30. So I was a pretty big girl.
So you were single, or?
I was single.
So you met your husband here in the States?
I met my husband here, yes.
So what is the first thing you did when you came to the States?
So I came to the United States because I was studying a PhD. And I actually, even though I was born in Mexico City, I was studying a PhD in Spain. And so I wanted to, I was doing my thesis, and I wanted to do my thesis here in the United States. And I got a volunteer job at the White House.
At the White House?
Yes, at the White House.
So you went straight to the roof.
Straight to the top.
I
was very lucky. And I was very, very lucky. And I volunteered at the White House. And then I was even
During
more...
what president?
During the Clinton administration.
Clinton,
yes.
Awesome.
It was the time when Clinton was being re-elected. In 1996. And I was so lucky that not only I volunteered, but after I volunteered, I was hired. So I worked for the Clinton administration, and it was one of the best times of my life.
So you had the chance to meet Bill and Hillary.
I did. Many, many times.
So your best recollection about them?
They are the best ever.
That's it.
I'm a fanatic of President Bill Clinton.
Awesome. So when you came to the States, did you have to fight or, struggle with racism and prejudice and all that stuff?
Well, you know what? It was so interesting. I came in 1996, and I came to the United States through Washington. And Washington was a different thing. Remember, it was before 9/11, and Washington is a city with a lot of different nationalities because all the embassies are there. So my first impression was, Washington, D.C. was nice. I had a great time. But then I got married and I moved to Los Angeles. And Los Angeles was hard. People right away assumed, that, Mexicans just are not nice. And, being Mexican was really hard for me here. And because I love being Mexican. It's the best thing that could happen to me. And here, it was not good. So
what do you do?
You know what? I decided that I was going to show everybody how good it was to be Mexican. So I worked hard. I did the best I could being who I was. And I think I've done pretty well showing everybody that being Mexican is good.
So, and then you got to be, you were an entrepreneur yourself and a very successful one at that.
I've been lucky. Me and my husband founded Valdez Productions and Consulting. And we have done content for Latinos, media content, and we've done consulting for media and marketing and politics. And so, yes, we've been very lucky. You know, me and many Latinos in this country, 85% of all businesses in this country are founded by Latinos. So I'm not alone. A lot of Latinos like me come to this country and make America better because we found new businesses.
So you were successful. So what's success for you? What's your definition of success?
You know, success for me is being able to work hard, to be ethical, to be law-abiding, to be able to stand up when life is hard, to be grateful, and to make a living that allows you to have a good life.
What is your advice for people that still struggling and don't find success, that they're, trying and oh my God, I'm failing. What could you tell them?
I can tell them that life is about failing a lot of times. And I'm not saying that I'm not successful all the times. I'm a failure sometimes, and I'm a success sometimes, and then I'm a failure sometimes, and then I'm a success. I'm a success sometimes. Being an entrepreneur is that. So making it means going up and down. And so if you're able to stand up and try again, then that's being successful.
So being relentless?
Being resilient, being relentless, being perseverant, being strong, continuing having faith on yourself.
But between all of those qualities, which one would be the key quality for you to achieve success?
Having faith in yourself.
Which means?
Which means believing in yourself.
In what you have.
In who you are.
What's failure for you?
Failure is stop believing in who you are.
How do you get up from failure?
I'm going to get religious here, but probably going to a higher power and grabbing, strength from somebody that is more powerful than you.
So maybe you remember one failure that was so big, but at the same time so important that really changed your perception of life and how you did things after that failure. That was probably the key element for you to become who you are. Do you remember that episode?
Yes, absolutely. So when I started having kids, I remember one time my kids were very young and business was good and I wanted to do it all. And one day I was having meeting after meeting after meeting and I came to a meeting and I did so bad. I literally failed completely. My meeting was so embarrassing. I didn't know what to say. I didn't deliver what I was supposed to deliver. I looked so unprepared. They didn't even finish the meeting. They literally said, you know what, this call is done. And I felt so bad and I literally cried. And I realized that I was failing because I was doing so many things that I was not being organized. And I went back home and I cried and I told my husband that I was failing, that I couldn't do anything well. And I spent probably 2 months, feeling sorry for myself. And I thought I was going to quit and I didn't want to work anymore. It just was, I didn't want to work anymore. And after feeling so bad with myself, I literally went back to my faith and meditating. I do meditation. And I found within myself and within my faith, I found a way to get organized, to pick my battles, to prioritize. And I came back stronger. But you know what? But it was because I knew that there was something within me that I still could give. and that I could still offer to other people, that it was still worth paying for. And that was my way of coming back.
Were you doing meditation at the time?
Yes, I do meditation. And
so
it really
at that time where you were passing through that failure or feeling of failing, you were meditating also to try to find your own way or the exit or the solution.
Yes, I do. I did. Yeah.
So how important is meditation for you, and do you think for everybody should be?
I think that having time with yourself, I think that having, alone time, having time of reflection, having time of self-awareness is vital for anything that anybody does.
How could you find, following up your line of thought, how could you find your goal if you don't know who you are? Exactly.
That's why meditating time, that's why time of awareness, time of silence, time within yourself is so important, because that's the only way to find it.
Have you been afraid of finding yourself through meditation?
Yeah, many times, especially when I was younger. Absolutely. Yeah, many times. It's scary. Sometimes when you find yourself and find your capacity and find what you can do and find your responsibilities and what you came to this life for, it's scary. And, your mission may be bigger than what you want or smaller than what you want. And that's scary. But you know what? It's always good. There's a reason for it.
So you were telling me about that moment of failing that you were going through. And you said something that got my attention, was you were doing so many things at the same time that you couldn't focus. So how important focusing is for an entrepreneur?
Focusing is really important for me. I know that I can be very dispersed because I'm a good multitasker, and that's really deceiving. It's tempting to do 100 things when you can usually do 100 things at the same time. But there are people that can actually do it really well. I think my husband is one of those people. But it depends on you. There are people that can do 3 things at the time. There are other people that can do 10 things at the time. I'm one of those people that can do probably 3 things at the time, not more. You have to find your limitations. You have to find your own limitations. I think that's the part of meditating, of knowing who you are. Just find exactly what you are and what you came to do and what you can do.
When is the time to pivot, to change? Because, entrepreneurs have like 20 dreams at the same time. They, let's say, pursue one of them and they keep going. But when is time for you that you would say, I got to stop this, to stop and to pivot to something else?
When things stop working. When you have tried everything, when you're a hard worker, you've done the right thing, when you are, when you've tried all the right avenues, and the universe is telling you this is not working. I think that you have to use your intuition. For me, intuition has been extremely powerful. I think intuition was one of the great discoveries of my life. I was a nerd. I was raised to be a nerd. I was a good nerd. I was, a straight A student, cum laude. I was good. And that was great until I realized that it only takes you to a certain place. After that, you gotta listen to yourself. And intuition was my greatest gift. When I was 24, I discovered it. And that's what tells me when I need to change, when I need to stop, when I need to keep going, when I need to sit down and listen, when I need to listen to my kids, when I need to listen to myself. I think that there's a part of an entrepreneur that is intuition that is super important.
So I think that's the key, because otherwise you're never going to be able to feel or understand the difference between you are going in the right direction and you are wasting your time in a way.
Exactly. That innovator kind of risk taker, that characterizes an entrepreneur comes all from intuition.
That's very interesting. What is the right moment to say no for you?
When it pushes me beyond my limits. I think I've gotten to a place in my life at this point where I know my limitations. And I really am a pusher in a lot of different ways. I push myself really hard, but I